Backside of 0.3, we're focusing on interpreting the domain and range. We're here focused on intervals. There's other things that are going to be playing itself out on the backside here. We'll see that minimum, that maximum potentially pop up at some point. We'll see some y-intercept. We'll see some x-intercept conversation, but we're focused on the intervals. So I want to go ahead and take a moment and I want to highlight certain things. We'll go ahead and just to kind of color coordinate some things. I'll go ahead and highlight the different concepts here and what we're looking for. So the first thing I'm going to do is, it's asking me here, I want to estimate the certain intervals. And we know that that's going to be an x-value conversation, but where can I find them on the graph? So my constants, that's when it's flat, that's when I see the horizontal. I see 1, 2, there's actually a bunch here, and 3. And I'll get back to those later, but let me just pinpoint them. Let me just highlight them first. Increasing when I see movement left to right and I'm going upwards. I'm traveling up from left to right there, and I'm going to travel left to right up there as well. And then finally decreasing, that's that negative slope. I'm going down from left to right, and I have 2 of those as well. So understand that we could have one, could have none, we could have multiple pieces of this, where it's playing itself out in terms of what's happening where. All right, so let's go ahead and actually try to estimate this. I'm looking at the yellow ones and how we're traveling. Now we're going to have certain conversations, especially in the piecewise function unit, about these dots. But for now, I'm just going to write this out in words. For instance, when I see my yellow here, I know that my x values, when I go from 0 to 1, it's a flat line. I know, and we're going to do a little bit of approximation here. The second one would be 4 to 6. And then finally, the line that goes from, I'm going to go ahead and call it 7 to 12. Now, I need to understand that that is a conversation, again, about the x's. So I was just looking at the x values there. So for all 3 of these problems, I'm only going to be focused on the x values. All right, how about increasing? So that's when the graph's going up. That's the green markings. I'm going to say 1 to 5. Looks like when it's going up, and then at the very end, it looks like 14 to 15 is when it's going up as well. And then finally, the decreasing is when we see the negative slope. It's going down. I see one 6 to 7. And then I see one, I think I'm going to call it 12 to 13. And again, those 3 questions, I'm focused specifically on the x values when I'm talking about those intervals for right now in this class. Next up, identify the minimum value on the graph. What does it mean in the context of the problem? So first thing is first, let's go ahead and talk about the minimum value. I don't want yellow. Let me get blue in here. The minimum value here would be the lowest. Right, so that if I saw the maximum value, I'm going to go ahead and call that the highest. So in this particular problem, it looks like the lowest location on this graph would be right there. And what does that point mean, or that location mean in the context of the problem? So if I was trying to kind of sort of pinpoint a coordinate here, might have to go over here to the graph and write in some y values there. But it looks like the lowest location here, height of waist above the ground, that lowest location here, I would probably pinpoint it at 0.5 or a half, comma 14. So in this scenario, I know that x value there is 14, and I'm just realizing here, I'll go ahead and put that backwards. Excuse me for that. Let's try that again. There we go. So in this situation here, the x value is time, or in seconds, and the y value is the height of the waist above the ground. So our lowest value here is hitting at 14 seconds. So at 14 seconds, what's happening here? That's the lowest. In this case, the height of the waist above the ground. So at 14 seconds, the lowest the waist is above the ground. How low is it exactly? It is 0.5 meters. Finally, the last question here is identify the y-intercept on the graph. We know that the y-intercept is the location where our graph is going to hit the y-axis, right there. And I would feel good about this location right there being where that y-intercept is occurring. For y-intercept, I know that my x value is always 0. Where it's hitting is the y value, which is 1. In this scenario, when this situation starts, we know that the height of the waist above the ground would be 1 meter. And I went ahead and I said M for meter, and of course that's 1 meter above the ground. So again, at the starting location, that's when the waist is 1 meter above the ground. That is the y-intercept in this scenario. We don't have any x-intercepts, so we don't have to discuss that in this particular example.